their farm. In the burning sun, 16 men, and a dead man's chest. Yo, 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 and a bottle of rum. Summertime. Mama, she again. Is it a king? Is it a princess? So you see me generation travel through this track. 16 men, 16 days, and a dead man's chest. Yo, 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 yo. Sounds kind of funny, but that's long ago. Yes, long ago. Pirates had their fun in the burning sun.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Yes, I'm feeling, of course, patriotic tonight. I'm feeling, of course, extremely nostalgic, but with, of course, a deep sense of the positive history of Trinidad and Tobago, and in particular, the Laventille and environs community, East Port of Spain, and their contribution to national culture, to national life, to national economic advancement, whether directly or indirectly. You see, today, the East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Sealants are, of course, the victims of what I consider to be ungratefulness. I believe that that level of betrayal is unprecedented. You see, it is ironic that a community that provides the country with its national culture, steel band, calypso, carnival, and then of course is left to rot, left in neglect, is unpardonable, as it is of course probably unprecedented, or in an abject and a very ad hoc way demonstrates the insensibility of the rest of the society. Or put another way, those who would have had the opportunity to manage the affairs of the country and betrayed that particular part of the country to the point where it is now known as a crime hotspot and a place not to visit, and that they should of course exist in squalor, exist in deprivation, exist in poverty, and of course their standard of living and quality of life concomitantly continues to deteriorate, and their functionality in terms of the economic front, in terms of the educational front, in terms of the cultural front, continues to be either tokenistic or is seen as nothing, coming from a place where, and in spite of the evolution, in spite of the way that it has evolved, are talking about giving the country its national culture. The fact of the matter is that those who would have had the opportunity to manage the affairs of the country at the highest level, including, of course, control of the treasury of the country, had a responsibility, of course, to manage and to, of course, encourage and to improve the quality of life and standard of living of these communities. And because it has not happened, because they have betrayed us in the most perfidious of way, we have no choice, and we will do so without exception and without any remorse to tell them where to get off. I'm talking about the PNM over the years. That's not waste time. That's not waste time. And therefore, people, when we express our animosity, when we express our chagrin, when we express our disapprobation, when we express our recalcitrant to any kind of offering that they may come up with, because we have had sufficient experience to know that when the PNM offers an olive branch, is really, of course, a truckload of poison ivy. Let us not waste time. When the PNM offers Laventille and these places some kind of olive branch, it is really a truckload of poison ivy. And don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. It was Rowley who went to the Beetham and said that Beetham is a special place with special problems and requires, of course, special attention. And when he got into office, he delivered, of course, the most belligerent, the most aggressive policing ever. And of course, when we thought that an opportunity would have come, when he went, of course, and caused sealots and the beach or the waterfront to be cleaned from derelict, unworthy crafts, old boats, old ships, wrecks, of course, in the waters close to sealots. What we didn't know, when Siochong came and boasting that he cleaned up the beach and therefore the people have a better opportunity for safe recreational opportunities near the beach, near the waterfront. It turned out that it was only done because his friend, Rowley, his friend, Warner from Tobago, had some kind of concrete plant in Sealots. It's there right now. And so in order for them to have access to the port or port facilities, they then went and used state resources to clean there. Not to let the man as a private entity do it, but the government did it. And then telling us, Siochong telling us, oh, he loves us. When, of course, they went up on the hill in Sugar-Trace and constructed a swimming pool. And when I said that Trinidad, well, at least Laventille was shortchanged, even with the one that subsequently was constructed in Mova, in Coconut Drive. Today, those very pools are now nurturing and harboring tadpoles, frogs, crapo, as if to symbolize that when, of course, the PNM puts a tie on a crapo, Laventille will respond appropriately. And so far, it appears that that is holding true. However, the rest of the country is not so congenial, not so submissive. And so they have raised their standard. Worse yet, in Tobago, they have totally jettisoned or rejected the PNM in totality. The time will come, and the time is here, when Laventille must do the same in its best interests, in the interests of the present generation, across the demographics, the interests of the children, and those that are yet to be born. If we do not do it, we find ourselves, of course, in deepening quagmire, in deepening mess, as the cesspool of evil that is called the PNM, that we have identified to be, of course, a criminal enterprise of a mafia nature, is still around and is attempting, of course, to hoodwink and deceive. Let us not waste time. Let us understand what the realities are. And therefore, of course, whether you are grandma, whether you are mother, whether you are son, whether you are father, whether you are grandfather, whether you are grandson, whether you are granddaughter, the fact of the matter is that these are the realities, and we must now take action in our own best interests. Let us not fool ourselves that these people have any interest. So when they come to you, as I expect they will, particularly the Laventille people, and of course beat-up sealers, etc., because we have a fella who is claiming to be a young PNM and of course comes from beat-up. So I expect that they are going to rely on you to go and march, to of course aggressively pursue their agenda for them, because their raison d'etre and only reason, of course, for existing is to get into government, and when they get into government, do us harm. And I'm saying to you that we have a collective responsibility not to be lured, not to be hoodwinked, not to engage, of course, in gaslighting, as they have been able to use in order, of course, to deceive us and to get us to act in a particular way that, of course, is detrimental ultimately to us with them in office. Remember that if they were in office right now, they would have been saying that you gave them the mandate to impose property tax on you. But you must know that. Stuart Young would have been saying that the fact that they won the election, if they had won the election on the 28th of April, thank God they didn't. They would have been saying that you gave them the mandate to increase electricity rates, to increase water rates, and to dismiss the WASA workers. That is what they would have been saying. So let us not waste time. And they would have said that the punishment that they gave us over the last 9 years, we absorbed it because, of course, we accepted it as perfect. I don't know of any society or any group of individuals or individuals who accept punishment as a panacea, as a sweet cupcake, as a birthday cake. I don't know any human being, but they are attempting to tell us that when you vote for them consistently, as you have in the context of Laventille, not the rest of the country. The rest of the country saw it blatantly, pollucedly. The yampi was removed from their eyes, and the blinders that was, of course, removed and, of course, destroyed. And they could really see clearly now. And they said, no, 26 seats. And let me tell you this. The classic example, of course, is Point Fortin and Labre. Laventille cannot say that it cannot empathize with Point Fortin and Labre. But, of course, as far as ethnicity is concerned, culture, the same cultural scenario, of course, the attitudes may be different. They may not have the reputation, like, of course, East Port of Spain and Laventille, of being a crime hotspot. That is the only difference. But everything else, where they came from, original, of course, ancestors come from Africa. Same thing here in Trinidad. They move away from the plantation and went, of course, and settled in these places when oil became, of course, a feature of the economy and was discovered over a century ago in Trinidad, and they went and settled. Come, of course, all these years after, we saw where, of course, in the previous elections in 2020, after in 2018, their main industry was pulled from under their feet. I'm talking about Patriotic, that would have, of course, managed not only the oil refinery, but drilling for oil, purchasing oil, and of course being contributing to the 80% of the foreign exchange that comes from oil, gas, and petrochemical. They were contributing. And the spin-off effects locally in the villages, in the what is called the front line, or the communities that are surrounding these industries, the main parts of these industries, whether the oil refinery, whether it be, of course, a drilling rig, on land, outside, or on sea. The fact of the matter is that the rug was pulled on from under their feet. And it was Rowley who went up in Grandy and tell them in 2020 that he ain't no what? He ain't no monkey. And that the UNC see him as a monkey. And you must rally in his corner. You must rally in his corner, because they're trying to shame us, trying to tell us we are monkeys, because among, of course, a basket of goods, a tray of goods, a cart of goods, grocery goods, there was one hand of ripe bananas. And he said that they give that to monkeys, and he ain't no monkey, and fool librarians and Point Fortanians into voting for him after he did the most unpardonable sin by pulling from under them their means of livelihood and triggered a downward spiral. Some people commit suicide. It doesn't matter whether they got some kind of kakada as far as a gratuity is concerned, or some kind of severance as the case may be, or some kind of a special financial reward. The VCEP, they call it voluntary separation, because that was involuntary. It wasn't voluntary. It would have been voluntary if, of course, they had accepted the recommendations of the Lashley report and other reports that never said close down the oil refinery. But they didn't do that. They closed it down in your face, and then go up there and tell you in, I think in, not Point Fortin, but in Pointe-a-Pierre, and when we come and tell you they ain't closing down Patriotic, and be careful, he told us, and if you're closing the fridge, let me repeat it. Don't forget that. But of course, Labre and Point Fortin didn't forget. And in 2025, on the 28th of April, they dealt the PNM the blow that they ought to have gotten back in 2020. Well done, Point Fortin. Well done, of course, Labre. Laventille, is your turn. You have failed to do so in 2025. But a local government election is coming up. And here it is, the PNM is on the rampage. They are coming back saying, of course, they love you. They're coming to say that, of course, they care about you, and there's some 10,000 illusionary, of course, persons losing their jobs in CEPEP and elsewhere. That is the kind of evil we have, still attempting, of course, to hoodwink and deceive the people of Laventille. So they will come to you because they're talking about going to march, and they will depend on you to go out there, as Rowley did when, of course, he concocted a storm in a teacup with respect, of course, to Section 34, and, of course, the Rishmi affair. Don't forget that. And they went in the square then. We couldn't get the square under the, or put another way, when the UNC was in opposition, and we formed, of course, Pushback 1, Pushback 2, of course, and several other entities to show that the PNM is doing us evil, and therefore we want to have discussion, including, of course, in the Woodford Square, the main square, in the city, and they refused to give us, and there are some people who, of course, were locked out. And when we went, of course, to ask, when we took our plight to San Fernando, and when I was told that come and apply and so on, I was responsible for making all the arrangements. So when we get to San Fernando, we will be adequately accommodated, but we use our brain, you see, because experience is the best teacher. And therefore, when they were thinking that we wanted the square and the bandstand, for which, of course, I spoke to the mayor then, Rigrello, yes, personal conversation, say no big thing, you'll get it. And when we arrived there, the bandstand was barricaded with those heavy police barricades, and that could only send one signal, one message: you are not wanted there. But of course, at the time we were smart enough, because what we really wanted was to be near to and under the cool trees that would have, of course, surrounded the Marcus Garvey statue that was just east of the bandstand. We fooled them into believing there's where we wanted to go, and we went there. And we had, of course, a religious exercise, because we were saying we have no need to ask the Commissioner of Police, because we know that they would have said no. So therefore, we said we want to go there to exercise a prayer session. We went on a pilgrimage. We went on a religious mission. We started to evangelize. And I remember, of course, at the center of that evangelistic expression was, of course, Mr. Amar, who took the lead. Let's go to the lines in the meantime. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and to all your listeners.
Yes, man.
And
good
to
night
share.
To you. Yes.
Share on the World Wide Web. And we need the 40,000. And if we need a contribution, a financial contribution, 40,000 too. Anyone.
Yes, man.
So let's tell the PNM that tonight they're going to get a little bit, a lesson to know the truth, the whole truth, and everything about the truth. Sorry to interject at this point in time to you, Uncle Lennox.
No problem, man. No problem, man. That is what we are all about. We have to give way to persons like yourself. Go ahead.
So I will start. The UNC and Barry Parat, the Public Utility Minister, is not closing down CEPEP. Let me repeat myself. The Honorable Public Utility Minister Barry Parat is not closing down CEPEP. And just in case he was in the toilet and flushing it, and just in case he was listening to Penelope Beckers, Fitzgerald Hines, and Scotland, we are not closing down CEPEP. So don't say that. Uncle Lennox, you missed out the part when Gavallo talked nice on the interview. I say it will be welcome. And he's an independent mayor, and his city, everybody is welcome. And when they reach in San Fernando, they had the police telling them that they can't gather here, keep moving and keep walking, right? So I hope now that on the topic of that pushback, that the new commissioner will release the report and say who gave the instruction to dispense that gas, that tear gas on the crowd at the Savannah. So I want answers still. And you see, when Penelope and them know they have no substance, no value, because as they say, quoting Patrick Manning, show me a liar and I'll show you a thief. They were in the government. They know everything about the CEPEP rules of this, terminating a contract. This morning on the ground report, you never hear that Penelope and she team say that they serve them notice, which is 1 month, and which they're entitled to 1 month salary, full salary for termination in the end of the 30 days. So, Uncle Lennox, I feel, right, although they're lying and they're misleading, they get to realize that the slaves and them they enslaved no longer want to be a part of that number. Because you tell me how the media know that 3 people will be in CEPEP office in South, in St. Madeleine. So which means they tell the people come out and make a protest and cry. But what I want to ask you, Uncle Lennox, under the severance package, right, and the Retrenchment Act, where they make 10 years entitled for your severance pay, I hope them contractor and them pay the people a severance because the contractor is no longer operational. And what I want to ask the minister to do is to check all them contractors and them and see the NIS of the workers is updated. Because it's the same thing in Heritage. When they close it down and rename it to Heritage, only a few contractors was at the table, eating at the trough. And then a man who was supposed to be at the best HSC, head office, and he get a national award. When five men was trapped in a pipeline, they killed 4, and he stayed quiet on it for time elapsed. So I want to know that the same company who is supplying labor for Heritage, right, is them going to pay severance pay? How much people are sent home after a month work? So you see, Uncle Lennox, Penelope had to fight for recognition. And if you want to do a reflection, I always say, I will send her a mirror. Stop. There is their right to try to win back the people. Because just imagine, look at the nastiness that come in. Property tax. Then the TTRA, they say it wasn't for the small man on the street. They come in for that. They just say that when you work, right, you didn't have no pension to get, there's only contract and they can terminate at any time. Now look at the Nurses Association. Now they get voice. When Rowley and them and the Alsing never take care and here to the standard to full vacancy. Now they want it done fast. But Uncle Lennox, good night for the while. Because I want other callers to call in, right? And say what they think about Penelope Beckles and Paris and Scotland's statement that they're going forward with a buff in the face and they had to answer who is the $4 million family.
Yes, indeed, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. And of course, it will be instructive to note that here it is, they came into government with a deception. They stayed in government deceptively, and now they are trying, of course, and of course they went out of government because of the same deception, and now they're trying to get back some kind of what I consider to be advantage, political advantage, by engaging in subterfuge and deception. Outright, total lies. And of course, lying does not mean that you could you always lie by verbal expression. You could lie by omission. So what is the omission that they committed? Because they believe that you are stupid and that you will not be interested in that. Is that they never said that the very CEPEP workers, which they ought to have known, if they are going along that line, and if they are claiming, of course, to suddenly love these workers and want to take legal action, as if the courts wouldn't know, as if, of course, the CEPEP administrators, the present government, will not be going to court as well to, of course, give their side of the story. And the court would have known, as they ought to have known, that these contractors would have gotten, of course, a month of their salary in lieu of course, the fact that they would have now been dismissed from their contracts. That, I think, is dishonest. It's not just disingenuous, dishonest. Because they tell themselves, if they had said that, it would have reduced, it would have undermined the potency and the loud talking and the empty vessel rhetoric that they would have, of course, been bellowing all over the place to hoodwink those people into luring them to do something for their agenda. And last night, of course, we began that discussion, and we'll continue tonight. Professor, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend. Yes.
Good night. Hey, first of all, good night to everybody in the chat and everything. Hey, Lennox.
Yay.
Happy birthday, belated birthday, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I just forget, but I get it.
You catch me. I still get birthday greetings, boy. All right.
Oh, yeah, it's just something. Anyway,
yes.
I've seen a lot of video, I think, about vanity vehicles, about that CEPEP business, right?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. CEPEP not like long ago, like 10 days?
It's a kind of let's say improved 10 days. Let me put it that way. Improved 10 days, because they don't call them gang, they just call them team, right? But it's the same
right.
thing. And that of course the workers are paid directly from the agency, so that is normal, because URP pay the people and them directly. I think what the difference is that they have what is called contractors, who are responsible for recruiting these individuals to form the teams that they talk about. And you can be a contractor that manages 2 teams, 3 teams, as the case may be, depending on what the contractual arrangement is. But that essentially makes up the difference and the dissimilarities. But go ahead.
All right, I will tell you why. When I was young, teenager, I used to get work in 10 days. Street and whatever, come and do a project. I used to get 10 days in, 10 days out, 10 days in, 10 days out. I come up with a point now, I'm going to tell you something. You know all these corruption and this ghost thing they're talking about have been happening since then. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because there are a lot of ghosts there, dissimilarities in terms of corruption. Ghosts in CEPEP, ghosts in URP.
But they never used to collect any check and things. Cash, go in the bank, whoever will collect cash. But it have some people that hired, it never was there. I know, I work, I can tell you that. I work there. So this thing has been going on for a long time. With PNM. PNM was there since Eric Williams time. And they used to do that. So what is similarity of what is happening there? Is where them contractors collecting money with people who's not working, and they're collecting that money. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because in spite of the fact, just as URP, there are supervisors for people, of course, to go on to do checks and balances and so on.
Right.
And if people see it as an opportunity to earn $1 without doing the work, then of course you leave room for all kinds of untoward things, including, of course, what you just referred to there. So a man ain't bound to come to work but get paid once the contractor certifies it. That's it. Yeah.
Right.
Just as a URP gang, if the checker or the foreman ain't certified, then of course you ain't get no pay, and vice versa. Yeah. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
That's it. So all these things that happening, what you see now, that have been going on for years ago, many since Eric Williams time and coming up with the PNM. Because most of the time there was in power, you know. And most of these things happening is because all corruption is coming from there. So I know that. From ever since I know that, I know exactly what you guys talk about. And this thing here, with all these contractors and them, it just a show, but they was collecting money underneath the table, otherwise, but they wasn't showing up in contract, right? And paying all these people, which some of these people never exist. Catch what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, the PNM clearly would have used it as a slush fund for electoral purposes, and to, of course, hoodwink, or should I say, deceive the people into, of course, working for them, and in return give your vote, because you are beholden to us for giving you a little 10 days or 5 days, as the case may be, or a little job, cutting grass, right, and so on, in CEPEP. Incidentally, CEPEP's uniqueness as well is that it is more environmentally oriented. So carnival time and so on, you'll have them, of course, cleaning up and I want to say they do a very good job. Just after a show, they clean up. Just after carnival itself, they clean up and so on. Before that, of course, the streets would have been littered with old costumes and all kinds of debris. So since their intervention, or since their creation, that has been eliminated around carnival time and after carnival time. So I want to say that they are useful. And they continue to be, but they are environmentally focused. Go ahead.
Right, Mr. Lennox. Let me tell you something. They have that right here, but they don't call it CEPEP. Right? They have that right here too, you know. There are people who we have to clean up the road, and they come and they clean up the road, all the garbage. You see people walking about in the highway, picking up garbage, people throwing it out with a truck and car. You know, I don't do that, but I just the other people do. But they take up garbage and put up the garbage by the road, and a truck man pick up all of them. So it's about the same thing, right? You know, and they look up at the highway, they cut the grass. They have contractor though. They hire contractor to do it. You know, they pay over that contract with bidding. That's how they give the contract. But they come and they cut the grass, pick up all the garbage, and they see about a certain part of highway. But on the United States figure, that's happening everywhere. So, Lennox, I know what you were talking about, you know. So, Lennox, let me take up your time and somebody might talk. You know what I'm saying? No.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much, of course, for that contribution.
Yeah.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. And thank you, of course. Thank you, of course, for that belated birthday greeting. All right. Yes, indeed. I have to show appreciation.
I hope next time I'll be down there.
Yes, indeed. All right, let me just, thank you. All right, let's just go to this one. I have to take this one on the handset. You'll forgive me, but I prefer to get it on the system, but I don't think there's an internet call. Let me put it that way. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, boy, Lennox.
Good night, my friend.
Well, I ain't talked to you for 2 days because the phone lines was down, boy.
Because what? Your phone line was down. I was wondering. I say it was you were conspicuous by your absence. I hear you.
Well, I know you don't get all your kudos and your praise already.
Yes.
But I will still give you your praise because you say the independent senators will have voted to the government and they do it.
Yes. I did say that they would have provided, of course, the 4 that is required. I did say that the opposition will abstain both in the lower house and the upper house.
Right.
That materialized. And if any independent is to, of course, have a different view, they will also abstain. All of them for the same reason. they are afraid of the public and the tragedy they would have brought onto themselves, with of course the public decrying them, the vitrials and the excoriations and the criticisms that they would have attracted to themselves. So they preferred, of course, to do the right thing. At least halfway do the right thing.
I hear you and Andy and them arguing that point this morning.
Yes.
But I have a different view to that, yeah?
No problem, go ahead.
The man that make them change their mind is Coke make you.
Is it what?
Coke make you.
Mayhew, okay, go ahead, yes.
Right? When they had the press conference.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And people, after that come there and say he's an independent, he ain't from no news here, nobody.
All right.
And you know how could make you against independent. He started to talk one set of balls, but Cook let him talk. And when he don't talk, when Cook talk now, he could talk again after. But you also went on to tell them, the senators, you say you all are not independent senators. You are PNM senators. The president who appointed you all is a PNM. He talk all that, you know.
Yeah. I had a glean of it, yes.
He said just a couple of months ago she was talking about you must preach the gospel and the PNM. So you all are not really independent, so you are PNM senators. And then Saddam Hussein back came up with it. And I think Barry Padaran. So I think Cook open up the eyes. Because when they hear that, you know, they realize, well, look, we are really independent. Because she does appoint you, and he say, she appointed all that, she's a PNM. So, you know, that's my view, Lennox.
Yeah, no problem. I share that view, but in my humble opinion, that contributed, contributed to the inevitable. They would have had to take that role. The difference between my argument and yours is that you're making Megua and the central causative agent. I am not saying that. I am saying that the population, the anger of the population, is the central causative agent. That's the big difference between yours and mine. But of course, at the end of the day, the objective was achieved. Yes.
If you blind your eye open, that's how Coke make you have talk.
Yes.
She voted the government and all. But Lennox, them already gone through and gone mad here.
Oh yes. And that is why I have to, of course, be as vociferous and as belligerent as possible, and of course, very, what I consider to be clinical. So the people of Laventille and these places, because that is where they will go for getting, as Rowley did, to get a cadre of persons to shout loud and to say, of course, the government is this anti-government sentiments would be expressed to attract, of course, the media that will go viral and international and so on and that kind of thing. That is what they are on. And we saw that, of course, when Robinson was Prime Minister. We saw that when, of course, Pandey was Prime Minister. And we saw a glaring and unadulterated exhibition of that, particularly when, of course, that led to the 1990 coup. Going that far, that is to tell you how far these people would have gone, and therefore Laventille. I'm talking here strictly about Laventille, and Laventille's participation must be nil. Nobody must, of course, rally to their pernicious cause to defend themselves. Let them defend themselves in the courts, whether it's criminal or civil. Do not follow them. Do not be lured by that self-serving narrative and propaganda. Go ahead. Yeah.
I hear Anil Robert said them today.
Yeah.
That the depression they bring about the country.
Yes.
When they looking more depressed than what they do. Because the effort for them to get up in the morning, to put on clothes to come to work. See, when they look in the mirror, in other words, it's shame that people seeing them now in opposition. And it's really true, and I hear your boy,
Yeah.
going and coming, Foster comment. He was talking, and I was listening. Right?
Well,
when
well,
I hear
well,
the man say, we make sure only thing only going to say there for 20 years like frustration.
yeah, frustration, yeah. And watch me. They have recognized that their entire propaganda machinery has collapsed.
Yeah.
The facade, the facade and the illusion of the superlativeness or the superiority of the PNM as a political entity that has dissipated right before their very eyes. So not only did they implode before the public's eye, because remember they were saying that they are a united party, that of course they were wrong the longest, and that of course they know how to manage their affairs. Of course we know that all of that was hogwash. All we were waiting for is when they would have imploded, and then of course they imploded by of course the illusion that Rowley said that they were engaged in what? In succession planning. It's the first time I see such succession planning so chaotic. It's so chaotic, and it resulted of course in everybody being a leader. Everybody, even when they try, of course, to say that the people must come out and put feet on the ground, boots on the ground, and try to, in other words, they want to organize marches apart from going to the courts. Even that, you saw about three of them talking, and the most ineffective one was the so-called leader, Penelope Beckles. Because Al-Rari started to talk about, of course, we have to use different angles and methodology. Of course, we are not going to expose that to the general public in terms of our strategy, but of course, in individual, collective, and of course, we will use, of course, the industrial court. We'll use, of course, the normal court, and then, of course, we had before him and Penelope Beckles. We had, of course, the one of them that, yes, Gavin, what is his name? Marva, right. Marva also said, well, of course, that is a practice. Well, he didn't say that, but I know that's a practice that is regular in, of course, in India. They have a very good jurisprudence as far as that is concerned, where, of course, people will go to court in a group, and of course with one concern to be addressed, and they will, of course, and the court will accept that. We don't have a tradition of that in Trinidad, but of course he proposed that as well, because of course all of them would have had a common reason why they want to, of course, attract the attention of the court. Yeah.
Yeah, but watch me. Your partner today, when I listen to the man, and he gets so frustrated. And he said that, so let him go stay there like credence for 2 years. he say our mission here is to get all out of there.
Yes, I always say the angry, the irascibility, the inability, of course, to treat with the reality of the reality of the people knowing that they are boo, that they are hollow, and that they have no potency as they would have projected only when they're in office, utilizing, of course, the legal parameters that protects them. That's all. Anytime they're in government, they're bad like 10,000. When they're out of government, you see they are naked, and you see how simplistic, dotish, asinine, wicked, and of course totally ineffective they are.
But you're seeing it
every day you are seeing it. They are hollow. They are simply hollow. Yeah, the underbelly of their stupidity is now on the surface. Yeah.
Or even worse.
Yeah.
You hearing me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Go ahead. I hear you. Go ahead. Hello? Are you hearing me? All right, simply as though we have lost him. All right, we have lost him. Yes, people. So I want to reiterate that the strategy is to create as much mayhem as possible in the society. If Laventille, East Port of Spain, Beetham, Silat are lured to their shenanigans. So Our job is to let you know that is what they are doing. And doing it because of self-preservation. They don't want it to be brought before the criminal court or the civil court for their misdeeds in the last 9 years. So they will try to preempt that as much as possible using you. You must not be lured. We have done that already. We have been there before. We saw it, of course, leading up to the 1990 coup. We saw it, of course, under Pandey. And, of course, we saw it under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, where they used lies, subterfuge, innuendos, and, of course, pretending, of course, that they are what we know now they are not. Because we saw, of course, Emailgate, for example, when, of course, they replaced a certain prime minister by saying that prime minister was conspiring to kill a journalist. Let's go to the lines. President, good night.
Good night, Mr. Lennox. And
yes.
Good night to everybody on the line.
Yes, man.
Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, man.
And to the world. Mr. Lennox, listen now.
Hold on.
I wouldn't be long.
We have Mr. Laventille on the line. So go ahead, Mr. Laventille.
Yeah, I wouldn't be long. I try to be short as possible. Listen,
okay.
I just want to ask you to do this. Right? I was looking at the Senate, and I saw the minister Zaku, right?
Mm.
When he was speaking, and I think you should get that tape with him when he was speaking in the Senate.
Yes.
When he was speaking in the Senate, Lennox, PNM and them these people and them not only over excessive, these people and them exceedingly mad. If he the kind of money we sitting and do with the country money, what he do, and the next thing I saw tonight a whistleblower, right, with Philip Alexander. I think you should get a tape too, right, exposing another thing about CEPEP and how there's acquired the nefarious behavior then in terms of PNM.
The kickbacks and the
yeah.
slush fund, yes, for campaigning
yes, and I said, but wait now, but these people and them come from straight from the pits of hell, boy. Them is a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, they do that blatant in our faces. That is why they must face blue lights and civil bracelet. I said that for the last 9 years, and it is unfolding before my very eyes. It was not by accident the Attorney General said that I am going to go to war with you, and pointing at these people across the parliamentary floor, It's not by accident. And watch, and they are so clinical. They are so, of course, conscious of what the response will be, that they're not telling them exactly what, but of course their conscience are pricking them so much so that they have to engage, of course, in all of this, because they are in a state of perpetual paranoia. They're looking over their shoulders for nothing.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's selling them mad.
Tabanka is part of it, but paranoia is, I think, the most appropriate word, because at any time, blue lights and silver bracelets could just pull up at the door. That is why it is paranoia. But go ahead, my friend. Yes.
Yes, I think that's what's selling them mad, because you see that kind of silence.
Yeah. That will send you mad. That kind of
because
silence, know it full well.
They know John Jeremy, the Attorney General, and the government coming for them.
Yes.
Because, you telling me all the pauperize a whole entire nation? A whole entire nation, all the pauperize?
On purpose, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orchestrated, choreographed.
Premeditated, yeah, boy.
Yes. Premeditated is an appropriate word. Yeah, I would prefer to use premeditated. Yes, that seems to be the best phrase for tonight. Yes.
Anyway, I'm going to Mr. Lennox.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Of course, call back. I know that you were on the handset, but call back. We have so many people calling, but we don't have a system where we could put people on call waiting. So that's the only difficulty here. I don't know how to do it, but we only have one call. Of course, it's always WhatsApp. So call WhatsApp 337-6940 if you have a contribution to make. And anyone, don't be too perturbed whether you're talking green verb, black verb, yellow verb. That is irrelevant. Once we can understand, because as a teacher I will know that, of course, once communication is achieved when the person or persons to whom you are speaking understands. If they understand what you're saying, well, of course, communication was not, and the function of speech would have been defeated. But once they're understanding, that's it. And I'm sure if you're using dialect, I will understand, and everybody else. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hi, good night, good night.
Good night.
Uncle Lennox.
Yes, man.
I see you got a new name.
Well, some people call me intellectual, some people call me professor, some people call me doctor. Yesterday, I got a long dissertation about what they called me. And so, different strokes for different folks.
But I like that name, I like that name.
I hear you, my friend, I hear you.
Well, I'm looking at the beautiful shirt you have on there, man. I like that shirt too.
Yeah. It is of course decked with elephant symbols or pictures. Maybe I don't know. Maybe something happening. I know Narendra Modi is coming to the country as the Indian Prime Minister on Thursday and Friday. So maybe by sheer chance, I happen to have this and I put it on by sheer chance. Or it could be, of course, divinely inspired. Probably that is why. All right.
I believe that.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. Because I just saw it there, and that thought came across my mind one time. I said, look at that. You know, sometimes in life, when you wish for something, especially if it is positive and of course developmental and to help people in particular, sometimes the pieces just move into place. And in those circumstances, they say the stars have aligned itself. Well, look as though the stars are aligning themselves. For what I'm seeing these days, you know, it is tremendous, and I will of course relish every bit of it.
Right. Now, asking on behalf of someone. They told me the demerit point, the point when you're driving and you got all these points and they take away your lights and all those things. And the government said they was going to deal with that.
Right.
I know that's not being done, but I thought that would have been a very quick move so that there are a lot of people who say they're unemployed now because of that situation. They cannot drive to make a living. They cannot walk taxi. They cannot even carry their school children to school.
You're referring to the demerit points system that was introduced by the last administration, right?
Yes, that is what I'm speaking about.
All right, go ahead.
So that's what I'm saying. I know the government did say they'd remove it.
Yeah.
But I'm on the government side, so I'm not bashing them.
Yeah, I know that. But I suppose the thinking is that you do it not just incrementally, but you do it selectively, because there are some things that the demerit point system could be functional, but certainly to do it across the board for everything, you're parking in the wrong place. But I mean, things like drunken driving, for example, I could understand that. Reckless driving, I could understand that. But of course, you park by a fire hydrant, you get demerit points for that. I mean, come on, taillight, defect, because it could go anytime. Those are mechanical, or should I say, electrical devices that could go anytime. And if the fella tell you, well, listen, when I left the place at 7 o'clock in the night, it was lighting, and when by the time the police will stop you, it's up lighting. Well, you're in a quandary, and you have to tell the man that what he will do, give you demerit points because you have a good excuse. I don't know, So those are the kinds of issues that I think, and that would have been part and parcel of people accumulating the required amount of points to take away your license, which I think is unfortunate and should be, of course, revisited by this government quickly. Yeah.
That is true, because you made a good point, and that exact thing happened to me. I just went on license and get my license stick on my vehicle. Right. That was the last day this happened. The following day, in night time, I get pulled over.
Well, look at that. Is it?
The number, my ID light and my back number plate, it went, and I couldn't understand because I now went and pay and pass inspection 2 days before.
Yeah.
I am not going to expect my bulb to blow, the next day.
Yeah.
And when I get pulled over, I ask the officer, what you pull me over for?
Right.
they need to take me to the
Yeah,
back
those
of the
are
jeep
those
and
are
tell me,
real human practical scenarios, and there are other ways to treat with that rather than, of course, attaching some demerit points to your permit or your permission to drive. I think that is unfortunate, you know.
Right. So I just call you casually and have a little,
Yes, thank you very much, of course, for your intervention and your very, what I consider to be, well, I say concise, but certainly a nice deviation to add to the blend and the tapestry of issues that we would speak of on this program. But I want to tell you that I'm finishing at 9:30 because time, boy, I'm tired these days, and I will want to break down the program to about an hour, so from 8 to 9. So I'll have to try and start at 8. Otherwise, I have to compensate people if we go in for 1 hour. So, things will change. The only thing that is constant, as people say, is change. And, of course, we have to adjust and amend. So thanks for your intervention.
But even though I'm looking forward to the High Commissioner coming to visit,
Yes, I do.
I
I'm hoping that the High Commissioner will come on Monday next, because he couldn't come on Friday. All right?
Okay,
Yes.
Other people ringing.
Yes, ringing. Yes. We have a full house tonight. Thank you. All right, okay. A pleasant good night, Mr. Faizabad. Go ahead.
Good night again, Mr. Lennox.
Yes,
Uncle Lennox.
Yes, man.
Now, I would like the listeners, right,
Yes.
to know where the story began. Because in Patrick Manning time, right, he closed down a ministry with almost 14 different sections in it. That was the Ministry of Works, right?
Yes.
The subsidiaries of highway, bridges, white line and signs, cutting and maintaining of the road edge,
Okay.
right? And mine marking, and the different section and bridge inspection, right?
Okay.
So is Patrick Manning close it down, meaning that he retrenched the workers and them, send home, just like how CEPEP, right? And the minister is getting everybody in line who really deserve the work, right?
Right.
But what Patrick Manning did, he set up all these workers and them, but he only opened back this company called CEPEP. And CEPEP was cutting on the highway edge, the road, the main thoroughfares and them, right? And not the highway from San Fernando to Port of Spain was cutting all them main road, right?
Right.
And then people complain. And then Mr. Basdep and they say that you can be cutting the side of the road when county council doing the same work, CEPEP doing the same work, and URP, right? So he said that the CEPEP workers will go into the schools, the churches, the villages, and help. Like the senior citizens can clean the place, will give them a little touch, as they'll say, the local phalanx.
Yeah.
Clean up and do for them, right? But the PNM, bring it now, right? So the point I'm making is that, remember, Patrick Manning sent home workers to form an next company. We are sending home workers to form an next company, no? We just taking out the ministers of government and who was paying and as using it as an inducement to solicit vote. Let me say it that way.
Political appointees is really a political scheme to, of course, pay with state resources persons that are sympathetic to you. That is what that 300 contractors would have represented.
Right? And would it right to say that they were soliciting and paying for votes?
Well, obviously, because if you're using state resources to do that, or if you're doing it privately, is the same consequence and the same mechanism that you would have used in order to get someone to vote for you. So yes, to answer your question strictly, yeah.
And this one. So I want the citizens of the Republic to know, stand firm, be counted, stand with our honorable political leader and Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, SC, and her cabinet ministers, and moving this country forward, because we voted to take away corruption and neglect and to trickle down the state purse to the citizen. Have a pleasant good night and sweet dreams. May the good Lord guide you and protect you in the morning, please, God.
Yes, my friend, and I can't say that I waited for 9:30, but it would be not encourageable so to do. But so let me say this: it is wicked, it is egregious, it is downright hypocritical of Penelope Beckles and her team, of what I consider to be total and absolute political dunderheads. Their asinine argument is so flawed that the depths of hell may not be able to accommodate. That is how asinine that argument is. You see, it was the PNM under Rowley that coined a term called gazetted workers. Remember that? Why did he use that term, gazetted workers? He used it particularly during COVID, prior to COVID, and after COVID. Gazetted workers. You know why he used the term, he came up with the term gazetted workers? Because those workers in the public sector who were contracted workers, and he had to account as to why there was a plethora, a barrage of persons being discontinued, saying that they have, of course, contracts. Let's go to the line before of course, I will conclude thereafter. A pleasant good night, yes.
Good night, caller from Library.
Go ahead,
You
Library.
see all over social media, people talking about the CEPEP. These people don't listen and are not listening to news properly.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
They fire the contract, not the workers. And they still get $1,000 for, they still get paid for the month. What is the big issue about? Let them listen to the news properly and listen to Parliament, and they'll understand. But all over social media is the wrong information going on, and then
Those are the PNM trolls. Those are the ones. Those are the ones who are making square peg and round hole arguments. That is illogical, and it's insincere and rank and unadulterated a figment of their collective and of course individual imagination. But go ahead, yes.
I just come up from TikTok, and this one who's to support UNC saying, what kind of people they bring into work? Listen to the news, all the uneducated people, all listen to the news, listen to what's going on in Parliament, and all you'll understand. But stop jumping to bridges like a frog jumping all over the place, and stop scaring wrong information. Listen to the news. I can understand these stupid people, and if I hear a woman in the taxi this morning,
that is because
I listen to the radio, they're stupid.
That's Penny and them has spread that propaganda, you see, because bad news to some, particularly when they got that kind of licking, is 28 seats, to of course only 13. So therefore, they will be working on steroids. By spreading their propaganda.
The word on the ground is what a form of protest.
This is what I'm saying, and therefore that is why this program is here tonight, to tell Laventille people, do not be lured. They are trying to save their own skins. Their bamsies are palpitating like a runaway horse, or some say overexcited heart. But the fact of the matter is, they have enough
They have-
adrenaline. Yeah.
They have too much. They have too much laxative in the system. That's what's going on.
Well,
You understand? I can't believe people so stupid to be caught up in this nonsense.
Yes.
And they're so uneducated and misinformed. But I'm listening to you guys right through, and I'm following up.
thank you very
People,
much.
all I need to listen. All I need to listen to the news. All I need to listen to Parliament and listen to the proper thing. Stop listening to lies outside here. You understand? I am listening. That's all I need to listen to what's going on in Parliament. Give the people a chance. I love Miss Santa Cruz. She should be on the air with you tonight.
Yeah,
Follow
well,
from
don't be
Anthony.
surprised. Don't be surprised.
Yeah.
Don't be careful what you wish for. She may well respond, because I'm sure she's listening. All right, thank you very
No,
much.
she's the one. She have a razor tongue, and she will put them in the place.
Yeah. She has that.
You know,
She has that
yes.
technique
She's
and that
very well
tendency.
informed. Yes, she's
Yes.
very well informed.
All right.
Good
Thank you
night.
very much. Yes, indeed. Yes. So I was making the point to people before the caller made that valuable intervention that Rowley invented a term called gazetted workers. And the reason for that, if you are not discerning, if you are not using your God-given common sense, you will be deceived by what he meant by that. What he meant, in other words, is that everybody else would have been fired. All of the contracted workers. Because at the time, there was the issue of those persons who had legitimate expectations, because prior to that, their contracts were being renewed automatically. But he began dismissing people in the regional corporations, in different parts of the public service, saying, well, listen, we did nothing wrong. Their contracts came to an end. That is what he said. And in order to avoid that reality, he then, of course, coined a term called gazetted workers. Don't be fooled. It was an excuse, of course, to get rid of all of the contracted workers. And mind you, contracted workers, they did. It's almost everybody felt the wrath of that kind of what I consider to be abuse of language. It is called semantics. That kind of semantics, yes. And somebody intimated, I think it was, I don't want to say just in case I am wrong, but somebody did say that all of the presence of the PNM over the last 9 years was to hoodwink, deceive, pretend, say one thing but act differently, engage, of course, in rank and unadulterated lies, disinformation, misinformation, and deliver nothing. Deliver nothing. And of course, I was the one who said that if it is that the UNC was so corrupt, because that was one of the bases for him saying, or the people considering, even though it was only 23 seats. Notice that, 23 seats. And when 2020 came, he could only muster up 22 seats. Remember that? So a very slim majority. But the fact of the matter is, he went to tongue on the UNC and said that they were corrupt. And then when we examine, of course, those projects that the UNC, the mega projects, whether it be that of the cycling velodrome, whether it be that of the aquatic center, whether it be that of the children's hospital, what we saw that the PNM was in office for 9 years and did not quiver one or advance one argument or one iota of evidence that these projects were corrupt. However, when we look at the PNM mega projects, whether it was under Manning or indeed under Rowley, we can of course safely say, and let me point them out just in case you forget. Napa, Sapa, the diplomatic center, the hospital in Tobago, the administrative center in Tobago. We can go on and on. And of course, under Rowley, those were under Manning, but under Rowley, you had of course the central block in the Port of Spain Hospital. You had the airport that is not yet finished, but yet still they put a plaque on it and give it a special name to suggest that it is in a dual state, a bifurcated state, meaning that it's incomplete, but yet it's complete. Well, I don't understand a construction site complete, but yet not complete. You're either complete or you're not complete. Well, he went and put a plaque on an incomplete hospital. Incomplete. And of course, a hospital where the substantive or the original contractor left with our money. Left with our money. And of course, the market in his constituency, talking about the Cavenagh fish market, we know that the contractor left with all the money. And before that, several early childhood centers, I think it was a Korean contractor, just up and left with our money, having paid, of course, them to construct these centers. They have no moral. They have no ethics. They have no right. I will go as far as to say legal as well, to be pointing fingers. And mind you, there is a phenomenon, maybe biological or by divine intervention, where when you point your index finger at someone, particularly when it is, of course, unfair, misrepresented, and attempting, of course, to hoodwink people to serve your cause. What you notice, do it now, practice it now, and you will see that 3 fingers pointing back at you. When you typically use your index finger to point at someone, notice that 3 pointing back. Well, that is what has happened to the PNM. Because, of course, the creme de la creme, the ultimate, the superlative, the apex incident of corruption is Balize House. They started off by saying that the party owes $5 million back in 2015. And by the time, of course, 2000 and recently 25, they were billing something for over $100 million. Where the hell they get the money from? And of course, we can prove. We have the evidence. Where the very contractors that the Rowley said was never deployed, never asked for a favor. And I could call the name, Jusamco, the company that is a subsidiary of the Junior Sammy conglomerate, if you want to call it that. That company is the company that constructed that piece of the highway to Point Fortin that fell eventually into the swamp below, bad construction. And that was the company that made a middle page, a huge advertising, showing that one of their concrete pouring trucks, vehicles, was pouring concrete not on the superstructure, but in the basement of that monstrosity called Balize House right now. And that is why it will remain there unfinished as a symbol of what not to do, what not to support. Because clearly it could have only been constructed with blood money, kickbacks, and the raiding of the treasury of the country. Penny and them has the moral authority to talk. And they therefore to rely on Laventille and East Port of Spain and beat them and so on to come with their nonsense to follow them, I think is an exercise in futility. It's an exercise in our own destruction. Let them take their own fall, because it's they who said that they were in office to seek our interests, and it turned out that they were seeking their own interests. Penny herself, let's ask her whether or not her father got CEPEP contracts. While, of course, so many in these very communities where they are coming now and trying to say that they are sympathetic to, and that they have, of course, some kind of argument against the present administration, only 2 months in office, and they have made it lucidly clear that these contractors, because they would have been terminated, the 300 of them, not the 10,000 that they're trying, of course, to mix and commingle, to fool, and to, of course, exacerbate, and to aggravate, and to excite the population. Wait and you will see. We had the minister on the ground report this morning, and he made it very clear that they got a month's salary already to take them over to July, maybe August, or at the end of July, this month. And within that period, they will do the restructuring so that the new contractors will obviously come on board. Common sense will tell you that. And because there is a narrow, or should I put another way, a specific group of individuals that are attracted to these programs as workers, it means that the same workers will not lose anything but will be able to work under a different contractor. That is all. And we have said on this program over and over that it is about time that we understand that political appointment is political appointment. And when, of course, the PNM came into office in 2015, the contractors that they met that were employed by the UNC, they had to go. It's the same thing with URP. Political appointments, not those persons who are seeking the little 10 days and 5 days as the case may be, not those. So don't let Penny and they and the opportunistic political parasitic nature try to, of course, hoodwink you to encourage you to try to destabilize and to, of course, make you go down a gum tree, or put another way, make you run up a Grugubef tree and stay at the top, only picking your bottom. That is what they are prepared to do. And therefore, in those circumstances, you have a duty to reject them. To reject them. Of course, I want to conclude with, because we said we're going to 9:30. I started on time, so I want to not go to the 10 o'clock. As I said, we'll reduce it until we get on to an hour. But I want to also identify. Because I had predicted on the ground report yesterday that the independent senators, they will cause the measure to reduce, or put another way, the adjustments to the pension of any prime minister. That bill that was placed before the House, that they will vote in favor of it. At least they will get the 4 that the government requires, because as you know, the government only has 16 senators in the Senate. The president has 9, and the opposition has 6. So I predicted that all of the opposition will abstain. They wouldn't say no, but they will abstain. And I told you the reason for that. Well, the 4 will vote. They will get the 4 because they needed 4 more to make it 19, I believe it was. But they got the total vote was 20, so they got the 4. And of course, the others abstained as well, and both of them abstained for the same reason. The population is so conscious and so agitated that if they had done otherwise, like say no to it, and notice it was not by accident in the lower house that Young did not attend to the sit-ins. Understand that. Because what he would have done, when it come up there, he had no option to abstain because it would have looked stupid. And he could not have voted against it, so he had to vote for it. He could not have voted against it. Against the measure. So he decided to stay out of it all entirely. And I agree with that. If it was me and I in that quagmire, I would have, of course, done the same thing. Because it didn't make no sense. Because I would have looked more stupid than I look. Because, I mean, the man is a total moron. Total moron. I don't know how the hell Rowley could choose to be prime minister as if this is some kind of monarchy. But that is how That is the history, that is the facts of the matter. So of course, let me just play for you the counting in the Parliament. And then of course we will make our departure. Let me just get that clip for you. I have some other things to discuss, but we'll do that tomorrow. Let's look at what transpired in the Parliament yesterday as far as that vote is concerned. Yes, indeed.
The Honourable Minister of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development, and the Minister in the Ministry of Finance.
Mr. President, I wish to report that the Prime Minister's Pension Amendment Bill 2025
so there we have it live in the
considered
Parliament.
Committee of the Whole and approved without
What transpired
amendment.
yesterday?
I now beg to move that the Senate agree with the committee's report.
Honourable Senators, the question is that the Senate agree with the committee's report on the Prime Minister's Pension Amendment Bill 2025. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The Minister of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development, and Minister in the Ministry of Finance.
Mr. President, I beg to move that a bill entitled an act to amend the Prime Minister's Pension Act, Chapter 251, be now read a third time and passed.
Honourable Senators, the question is that a bill entitled an act to amend the Prime Minister's Pension Act, Chapter
So they will eventually, of course, have a
251,
division, what is called a
be
division,
now
where
read a third
everybody will have to say if they
and
supported
passed.
or not, and you will see the senators
This
that
bill
supported it, and you will see the
requires
opposition that, of course,
special
went where?
majority.
They went, of course,
And the clerk
they
will
choose
now conduct
abstinence
a division.
rather than saying
Clerk.
outright no.
Mr. Alaha,
Yes.
Mr. Jeremy SC,
Yes.
So that's the government
Mr.
side
Roberts.
that is saying
Yes.
yes to the bill.
Dr. Swarat Singh,
Yes.
Mr. Maraj,
Yes.
Mr. Batiste,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Professor Prasad,
Yes.
Dr. Chaitan Maraj,
Yes.
Mr. Beg,
Yes.
Ms. Charles,
Yes.
Mr. Zakur,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Nakid, Mr. Rashid,
Yes.
Dr. Brown,
Yes, that's the opposition side now. Brown starts. He says he
Mr.
abstained.
Al-Rawi SC,
Abstain.
He said they
Mrs.
abstaining.
Roberts Rajman,
Abstain.
All
Mr. Dan
government,
Paul.
all
Abstain.
opposition here now abstaining.
Mr. Cummings,
Abstain.
Mrs. John Bates,
Abstain.
Right. Then we go on now to
Mr.
the
Vieira
independent.
SC,
Abstain.
So that independent abstained.
Mr. Timal,
Yes.
So he voted for it as one.
Mr. De La Bastide SC,
Yes.
So he voted for it as well. That's two.
Mrs. Joan Simmons,
Abstain.
Those are independent senators we are dealing with now. Eh?
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
So that's three.
Dr. Marie,
Abstain.
Abstained. Okay.
Mrs. Lalit Etienne,
Yes.
Yes. So that's four. So they get the numbers they want.
Mr. McNish,
Yes.
So they got an additional one.
Ms. Phillips,
Abstain.
Right. So it's 20, so it's 30 in all. The entire Senate is comprised of 31 members, so somebody was missing. They probably didn't want to find themselves having to say yes or no or abstain, so they decide not to come.
The result of the division is as follows. 20 senators voted in favor, no senators voted against, and there were 10 abstentions.
20.
So 24, 10 abstain, not against, abstain.
Honourable Senators, as a result of the division, 20 members voted in favor of the bill. No members voted against the bill, and Johnson abstained. And there were 10 abstentions. The bill is approved.
Yes, indeed. Of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. People, of course, Trinidad is my land. We all must be, of course. I doubt there are somebody calling now. All right, let's take one more call. 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 Some people don't know that we finish at 9:30. So let's take this call. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Hello, pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Going once, going twice. Pleasant good night. Like we're having some communication problem there. Pleasant good night. Speak up a little bit. All right, well, of course, just in case you don't know, of course, we will not be going to 10 o'clock. We're going to 9:30, and because, of course, I'm only human, and I can't take the pressure. I had to get some sleep and so on, but we got to get up again in the morning for 6 o'clock, the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself. So, of course, I'll have to curtail some of my night activities. So, of course, so let's go. I think the caller is calling again. Let's see what's happening here. Hello? What's happening? What's happening? All right, let me take it here. Let me take it here. A pleasant good night.
Yes, good night, Doc.
All right, pleasant good night to you as well, my friend. I was now going to cut off because, as you know, we're going up to 9:30 from now on.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I know it's normally 10.
10, yes. Oh, gosh, boy, pressure. I have so much things to do, you know. I have to prepare proposals. I have to, the people, you know, we have made certain commitments and so on, and I have to go to meetings, etc., in order to fulfill those commitments. So that is that is a typical day now for me. So I have to curtail some of these night activities. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, and then you have your visit on Friday.
Yes, so and then we have the visit on Friday as well. So, you know, it's quite a lot of work. Yeah.
All right. What I call it, I hear in this fella who is a minister for the PTSC calling out all these millions of dollars, right?
Yes, somebody mentioned that tonight. I'll be taking a look at it and bring it tomorrow. Yes, go ahead.
And they say $57 million in parts that the buses can't work.
Yeah, boy, I was shocked. Yeah. And they still have a whole set there that they're not using, and they continue to buy.
Right. Right. Well, hear this now. In I think it's before the 1986 election. Right? There was a company, I won't call the name, right? They had a special kind of trucks, right? The PTSC sent a fella to buy parts for the buses. He bring parts which was not for the buses. He bring it for trucks.
Oh my goodness!
And you know how much when they decide they will auction the parts, a whole box of parts, all kind of parts. When they decide to auction it, you know how much the trucking company pay for it? $1, because nobody else did not truck like that.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, that is the kind of incompetence and the kind of corruption, frankly, that seem to be very pervasive, especially when the PNM is in government.
Well, this is what, and here I laugh when I say, but what? They send a man to buy parts. He ain't buy what the list say, you know. He buy thing to suit that man. Yeah. So the man
and he get parts free. He get parts for his vehicle free.
$1.
Yeah. And here what they go say? They go say they went through the process. The process was transparent. They had an auction. Something like when Rowley says and accommodates, of course, these fellas who recuse themselves. He said that is international best practice. No, that is blasted corruption. You cannot have your ministers when the family bid for something at the level of the cabinet. They just have to walk out the room. The rest are all. So we foolish. We don't know that before all that happened, it had telephone, that cell phone, it had negotiations long before, and all the coming day as a cabinet is to make a decision because all already concoct all their stories and of course decide what all they're doing before. And what the cabinet is doing is rubber stamping the whole process. So they see us as fools. We cannot concentrate or contemplate that. We that stupid. Yeah, telling you that it'll get you vexed to know how these fellas want to insult your intelligence. And intelligence here means just common sense. Nobody takes them seriously. Nobody could.
So I say let me bring back.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'll play tomorrow, so you'll have a.
It's the same scenario. You might very well hear a trucking company buy all the parts, you know.
I will not be surprised. Yeah. They orchestrate it in that way. According to Rowley said that they orchestrate wrongdoing. Remember when he was trying to remove money? They orchestrate wrongdoing. That time is the man, is chief wrongdoer and orchestrator. All right, okay then. Yes, thanks very much, of course, and have a good one. Yeah. All right, people, of course, we have finally come to the end. And let me, of course, play, because we are patriots, so let's play the patriotic song, of course, Trinidad is my land. Out of it, all of us must be proud and glad. Let's hear it again.
Trinidad is my land, and of it I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people are talking.
Well, yes, people, of course, once again, we have come to the end of tonight's program. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Michael, and myself, as we continue with these and other issues that affect, of course, all of us in Trinidad and Tobago, towards, of course, transparency, accountability, good governance, and of course the rule of law. And don't forget, of course, the separation of powers, crucial for the checks and balances that are required to avoid what? Avoid corruption, nepotism, cronyism. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Bye-bye.
They just talk some nonsense. Me ain't know where they're doing it for. About so much violence, man, you would swear that we're fighting war. Of course, we have we delinquents to face, but just like any other place, look, things that I say about here is really too much for me to bear, because my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness, and in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body. No bickering between you and me. For our policy stands for racial equality. Now when a stranger spending a little time in this lovely isle, every day you see him, he always